Hey guys, it's Fresh Mark Sense with another fresh review. Today I'll be reviewing Hugo Reversed by Hugo Boss. This is a very fresh, summery fragrance. It starts with some bergamot in the top with candied, zesty grapefruit. So it's rather sweet in the beginning. It has rosemary as a heart note, so it's refreshingly leafy and green, reminiscent of broken twig, petitgrain. Although that's not in the note breakdown, there is some Haitian vetiver in the base to keep it natural and fresh. So what do we get when we spray this fragrance on? I've sprayed this fragrance on previously about 5 hours ago, and it's still projecting quite well. Slight projection, nothing too overpowering. It's not a overwhelming scent. It's light, it's fresh. You get some sweetness, almost as if there's apple in there, which is the signature Hugo Boss profile scent, which is apple and cinnamon. In terms of cinnamon, if there was any, I'd say it's a very tiny light dusting to keep it uplifting and never into the gourmand characteristics. I'd say in terms of being gourmand and edible, I would say this resembles an apple, the juicy fresh apple, because I smell something that resembles the sweetness of apple. Although there's no apple in the notes or petitgrain, I'm getting the sweetness of apple through the zinginess of the grapefruit. I get the green of the like as if it was a green apple, quite juicy with some the Haitian vetiver. I think it's the sourness of the Haitian vetiver that brings about the cooking apple's sourness. It doesn't come off as too grassy. It's more hay-like, the vetiver note that is here. It's very inobtrusive. It's not as sour as you may think. It's not as sour as Tom Ford's grey vetiver, nowhere near that. But it does have a clean, effervescent freshness to it. So that means it's light. I'm not going to use the word uplifting again, but I would say it's slightly creamy. I believe it has some sort of woody note to it, but it's too light to distinguish. It could be a light mix of patchouli and cedar, because there's a very light, faint woodiness to the perfume. But I'd say that the greenness of the broken twig smell almost dominates it. The rosemary usually has a sharp aromatic character that is almost green spicy, but I would say this doesn't really have the sharpness of a full-on rosemary, but it has the uplifting, it has the freshness, the the rounded green characteristic of a broken twig. So it's very summery, it's very fresh. Only at about the 5 hour mark, I feel that it starts to come closer to the skin. But the projection on this for about 5 hours is about half an arm's width, maybe an arm's width in the first half an hour. It does actually scream quite loud in the beginning, but I believe I would actually catch a few whiffs of this in the next 2 hours maybe, so it would last up to 7 hours on the skin, where you could smell it on the skin and project for the first half an hour, and for the first 5 hours you could smell it about half an arm's width away. So let's get to spraying it. I'm gonna overdose because I was wearing Versace Eros, because that also came in the post. So we get that zingy grapefruit, that broken twig petitgrain green freshness is coming out. almost like a green leaf actually in the beginning, because it's zesty and has the juiciness of the bergamot in there. Yes, it does remind me a little bit of the White L'Oreal Men Expert shower gel. It's supposed to have birch sap in it, so maybe that's the woody note that I'm experiencing. It's a light woody note, like a wood bark, like maybe like a driftwood, like a dried wood. I'm sorry, almost came off as peppery because it was so zingy and sour and fresh at the same time. You get a slight punch from it in the first half an hour if you were to smell it up close. But at the same time, there's no alcoholic top note, which some perfumes that are cheaper than £40, this is actually £31, so it's quite reasonably priced at. It's supposed to be half price, but a lot of the time you can find this at the half price point, like Givenchy Pie. It's discounted quite regularly. The full RRP is supposed to be £60, but I would not pay £60 for this. £31 is a very reasonable price for 125 mils, and I would heavily recommend this to anyone who likes the sense of Givenchy cologne, the white Givenchy gentleman bottle, which has petitgrain and some zesty, I think it has some zesty grapefruit in it as well. Quite similar notes, quite herbal, green, aromatic. Yes, anyone who likes zesty, aromatic, fresh scents, this is great for them. But if you don't mind it being on the more fruity and zesty end, expect a green, juicy apple note, which is not listed in the note breakdown online, but I am getting some petitgrain and some juicy green apple with that bergamot and zesty grapefruit in the top note. So very nice, not overpoweringly sour, but notably sour in the beginning because it has the grapefruit and the vetiver. But that, that initial zesty, sweet grapefruit, the sweetness of the grapefruit does die down, as mentioned in some reviews in Fragrantica. That it does actually dry down in about, I'd say after about half an hour to an hour, you definitely get a reduction in the sweetness of the grapefruit, but you still get the uplifting, juicy, the rounded, juicy note of bergamot, almost as if you get lime shavings. The lime shaving is slightly sour, yeah, retains the moisture of the fruit. So I feel that the woody notes of this perfume keep this perfume fresh and zingy because it's very light and it allows the perfume to breathe life into it. That has the juicy notes, the sweet notes, and the woody notes are not overpowering, but they create almost a creamy soft base, whereby the fruit notes can play out and not be almost overpowered by the wood notes, and the vetiver is not overpoweringly sour or too tobacco-like or too grassy. Grassy vetiver would be quite nice if it were more grassy with the apple note. It would be quite nice, but I feel that the slight woody notes, almost birch or driftwood notes in this come off as more creamy and classy, let's say, with juicy bergamot and not being too overpowering. So I like that the woody notes are not too overpowering, and I don't feel that they get in the way of the scent being fresh for a long time, but it has a certain masculine touch to it that would make it very good for sportswear. I can imagine wearing this after the gym or anything. If I was on my way back and I didn't want to have a shower, this would actually, if I had a shower at home or something, I would wear this because the woody notes would actually work quite well with the musk of the skin, and the rosemary and aromatic fresh notes are a more natural way of changing the smell of sweat into something more natural, green, and slightly fresh with the bergamot. So definitely, this is a great scent for sport, for out there in the summer when the weather is very hot as well. This would have a juicy characteristic that will be revitalizing. So check this out for summer if you want a fail-safe summer scent, uh, very similar to Givenchy cologne, but much cheaper and with a more interesting and slightly classic Hugo Boss apple note, which you may have enjoyed in winter scents, but in a slight more toned down version, it's very enjoyable in the summer. So check out Hugo Reversed for the summer for a fresh, inoffensive summer scent. Check it out. Take care. Stay fresh.